Fun facts on spoonbill. Paddlefish. What's the official name? Polyodontidia. Polyodontidia Bonaparte. Polyodontidia Bonaparte. Maybe just Bonaparte. Maybe it's not Bonaparte. Charles Lucien Jules Laurent Bonaparte, second prince of Cassino and Musignano. That dude. Why does it even say that guy? It doesn't even bring up why this guy is a thing related to paddlefish. But here he is. He was a French nationalist and an ornithologist. Him and his wife had 12 children. What the heck? Did he find this fish? Maybe he's the founder of this fish. This is a horrible way to start off fun facts, but the American paddlefish, they are distinguished from other fish by what Wikipedia describes as their titular, T-I-T-U-L-A-R, titular, elongated rostrums, R-O-S-T-R-U-M-S, rostrums, is the term used in anatomy for a number of phylogenetically unrelated structures in different groups of animals. Why would you ever use that word? There's no answer to that question. Why would you ever use that word? This is frustrating. Rostrums. The definition of it describes it as being really unspecific and used for a bunch of different things. It's just there along, like look at this picture. The pecker on that thing is also described as a rostrum, but people can describe the spoonbill's nose. That's what I would use. I'd just call it their nose as a rostrum. Come on, let's move on. What is that thing used for? Off the front of a paddlefish? Electroperception. Any kind of electroperception is describing how... Chip, let's back up. I got a lot of camera equipment here, okay? Let's just back up. No, go to your bed, please. Bed, please. Bed, okay, thank you. Anything that describes the ability to perceive electrical signals. And apparently the paddlefish's nose perceives electrical signals. There's also different animals that use electroperception or electrogenesis as a way of discharging electricity. I bet an eel does this, things like that, to stun prey. That's pretty cool. The capabilities like this are found almost exclusively in aquatic animals, not so much mammals. They're pretty primitive. They get referred to as a primitive fish often. They are some of the earliest diverging lineages of the ray-finned fish. They diverged from all the other living groups 300 million years ago and became their own little paddlefish, big paddlefish. They get pretty big. They're in China. They're not just in North America. Wow, I didn't know that. I've caught a paddlefish before, just one, snagging. Here's a picture. There's 4 known extinct species of paddlefish. There's 6 overall that humans know of, so there's 2. The North American paddlefish and the one from China. So the Chinese commonly refer to this fish as the Chinese swordfish or the elephant fish. It's kind of a cool name. Paddlefish is pretty lame compared to elephant fish for sure. When your 1-year-old daughter's sleeping inside, but you're hungry. For a delicious smoothie. They say their populations have declined dramatically. I would think that paddlefish are a difficult fish to understand the populations of, because they don't bite lures. You pretty much need to snag one. You do just need to snag one to catch one, really. Like you could have your big ball of bait at the bottom and they're gonna go around it. They're not gonna try to get something in their mouth. They're filtering out stuff from, more on that later. But just in general, the construction of dams and their seasonal migrations and stuff, humans have kind of put a damper on the population of paddlefish for sure. Any alterations of the rivers, changing of their natural flows, loss of spawning habitats really affects the paddlefish. These fish mostly consist of cartilage. They have very few bones in their body. Similar to the sturgeon's fun facts, they have a notochord running through their body, functional as a soft spine. When these things are tiny embryonic babies, essentially, they don't have a rostrum or a snout. They use, like in Wikipedia in this article, they use that interchangeably, rostrum or snout. There should be a better word for this fish's nose, or just call it its nose. But it begins to form shortly after hatching. So the nose of the Chinese paddlefish is a lot more narrow than the nose of the North American paddlefish. That's why it's more appropriately called the swordfish in China. And then yeah, the North American one is paddle-like, hence its name. I don't need to say any more about that. They got a smooth-skinned, scaleless body and tiny, small, poorly developed eyes. They really do have small eyes. When I saw it in person, that was one of the things that shocked me, how tiny its eyes were. So it says the American paddlefish was filter feeding. The Chinese paddlefish are piscivores. Wonder what they eat. Piscivore. That means they eat fish. Not how the beginning of that word sounds. They eat fish. A carnivorous animal that eats primarily fish is the Chinese paddlefish. Highly predatory. Their jaws are more forward pointing. That's cool. I had no clue. So they'll eat shrimp, other little fish, and crabs. The jaws of the American paddlefish are distinctly adept for filter feeding only. Ram suspension filter feeders. Wow, what a name. Apparently it's not the most efficient way of filter feeding even, the ram suspension filter feeding. They face special difficulty as compared to feeding on land because the density of water is about the same as that of prey. So like their mouth is pushing the prey away while they're trying to filter it and get it in. That problem was first identified by Robert McNeil. Good job, Robert. American paddlefish eat zooplankton, occasionally small insects and larvae and little fish that accidentally get in there. I'm sure if like a 5-inch bluegill swam in there, they'd go and just hack it out of there. They probably wouldn't like that. Wow, the largest Chinese paddlefish on record, 23 feet long, 7 meters, probably weighed a few thousand pounds. What? And this is a predatory fish that eats other fish. That thing could eat children. Watch out, China. And they commonly reach 10 feet, 3 meters, over 1,000 pounds. Wow. I'm not thinking, this isn't the sawfish, right? The sawfish have that, what do they call it? Rostrum with the teeth that come off the sides. That's not what we're talking about. This is the swordfish or the Chinese paddlefish, 23 feet long. What the heck? That's one for the bucket list. Go to China and catch a Chinese swordfish that's 20 feet long. That beats everybody else's best bucket fish, bucket list fish. Bucket fish. So the North American paddlefish, their record lengths are less than the Chinese, unfortunately. They commonly reach 5 feet long. My brother caught a 5-footer. If I have that picture, I'll put it in. They can weigh more than 60 pounds. The biggest one, where's that at? Lake Okoboji. The fish was taken with a spear. 7 foot 1 inch, almost 2.2 meters, 45 inches in girth. Whoa. 198 pounds with a spear. Sure it wasn't a harpoon? Oh, the world record paddlefish caught on rod and reel was 144 pounds. Caught in Kansas in 2004. Wow, that's cool. Scientists think that they use their nose or a rostrum to excavate the bottom, the substrate, because apparently they've been seen doing that. They do that to the bottom. And then after scientists declared that, they then found that their rostrum is covered in electroreceptors. They call them ampulla or Lorenzini. They call them Lorenzini or ampulla. Why don't they just pick one? They're densely packed on that snout. They're star-shaped bone projections that branch out from the rostrum. So there's little tiny, let's just call them nipples. Let's do that. Star-shaped nipples all over their rostrum. So while they're messing up the substrate, they're feeling for like life and electrical signals in it. Feeling if it's a good, nice cloud of living things they can put in their mouth after they stir it up off the bottom. Then they'll swim through it and go probably get a bunch of sand in their mouth at the same time. Poor animals. That's why they don't need eyes. Their eyes have just emaciated. They've just turned into nothing. They're useless. Tiny little beads of nothing on their face. It says some reports would incorrectly suggest that damaged rostrum would render the paddlefish less capable of foraging efficiently to maintain good health. Laboratory experiments and field research indicates otherwise. They don't need their nose. In addition to electroreceptors on their nose, the paddlefish have sensory pores covering nearly half the skin surface, from the rostrum to the top of the head, down the tips of the gill flaps. So they got those weird pointy gill flaps too. So that stupid thing off the front of their face isn't as necessary as you might think. Like, it exists, but they don't even need it. Crazy. This fish would be a pretty weird looking fish even without that, but they don't even need that. That's pretty crazy. In North America here, paddlefish used to be in the Great Lakes. They used to be in New York and Maryland and Pennsylvania, in those areas, but they're not anymore. They've been driven closer to where I live in the Midwest. I don't know if they're completely gone from those areas, but there is way less population of them in those areas. They're native to the Mississippi River Basin, like from New York to Montana. That's the area we're talking about, all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. Females can't spawn until they're 6 to 12 years old, late maturing fish. And they found out they don't spawn every year even. They spawn every second or third year, but the males spawn really frequently, typically every year. They need a good annual spring rain. They prefer to spawn in silt-free gravel or places that would otherwise pretty much be dry or like really shallow. So they need the water to rise. They swim upstream and spawn. That's why dams have really impeded their spawning and any other disruptions in the river. The females just release their eggs into the water over bare rocks or gravel, all at the same time. They are broadcast spawners. Wow, mass spawners. They do it together. The males come along and just fertilize all of the eggs that the females release all together. The young just sweep downstream after hatching and grow to adulthood in deep freshwater pools. Good luck. Advancements in biotechnology and paddlefish propagation and rearing of captive stock indicate significant improvements in the reproductive success of paddlefish. So they're making a comeback. Humans are doing things to try to help the paddlefish make a comeback. Such improvements have led to successful practices. Reservoir ranching, pond rearing. You can put these things in ponds and rear them and then let them go. And apparently the population's going up because of stuff like that. There's an increasing interest in the global market for paddlefish polyculture. That's good. Good for the paddlefish. I didn't know the Chinese one even existed, so that was pretty good fun facts. Fun facts are over. Joint connections. This bait's gonna have 3. That last one's just gonna have one that can flop around every which way. There, we got all the pieces put together. It's time. And no, I don't have those fins carved down to exactly what they're gonna be. They'll be thinner, there'll be less material there, but we don't need to be that neurotic. Let's go test it. And if you noticed I'm talking different, I got Invisalign. They say for a week I'm gonna have a bit of a lisp, so I'll get used to it. Take one last look at them, fellas. They're gonna be straight. I have to get like 6 implants too. I got a messed up genetic abomination of a mouth, so it's getting fixed. Pretty much thanks to all you, I can afford stuff like this. Thank you. What's it gonna do? It leans back and sinks. Okay. I didn't mind that sink rate one bit. I kind of like that. Let me take a little bit of weight out of the back and see if it levels out and still sinks slow. Oh, I don't even have the hooks on. One sec. You guys probably noticed during the fun facts I put that line tie right above the eyes. Maybe that paddle out there is going to catch a little bit of water. Because I'm making this a slow sink, it'll be underwater and ready to grab some water. It was the back that we needed to lighten up. 1964. Should make a little bit of a difference. Let's test it with hooks on this time. Putting some size 4 BKK spear hooks on it. Same issue. It sinks a little faster even because of the hardware we put into it. All right, let's not mess around. Let's take a lot out. Here we go. We're gonna make it way less right there. Pretty much hollowed it out. Okay, it's a little bit more level. The head still doesn't do what I want it to do. We have to drill another hole, fellas. My bait maker intuition was off with this bait, probably because it's so weirdly shaped, but it requires lead in the head. Not a problem. Nine drops. Hopefully that does it. We can check immediately. That did it. It's even head down a little bit. Now I want to take some out of the center, dang it. It's sinking too fast. Okay, let's creep up on it nice and professional-like and take some out of the center hole. Just a smidge. More. I'll be right back. I got nothing to say at this point. I'll get it right, one sec. There we go. That's it. That's the sink rate we want. It'll hit the water and then a few seconds later it's a foot down. That's good. That was a lot of finagling, but you got to do that sometimes for good swim baits. Let's get this thing ready to paint. 5-minute epoxy with microspheres. That does not slip off the tongue better than super glue and baking soda. I'll have to get the super glue and baking soda back out for one of these builds sometime, just for the nostalgia. Or just, you know, when one days come back and I can fish like a normal person instead of an Eskimo. I don't know why I don't like doing one days through the ice. It's just not as fun. Probably because ice fishing is not as fun. I know that's a subjective statement, but there is just so much objective truth to that statement too. You're welcome to argue to the contrary, but I think you're going to have a hard time doing so. You're probably going to talk yourself out of enjoying ice fishing in the process, so be careful. Little Dremel torch. Gets the bubbles to rise out of there if they need to. Breaks the surface tension. Okay. There, it's weighed, the lead holes are smoothed off. I'm gonna seal this one more time and we're gonna paint it. First things first. White. That's pearl white, isn't it? I got a few pictures to go off of. These things can be different colors. So we're gonna do a mix of every which way that they can be. I have a feeling this is going to be another one of those. Very simple looking fish, but not simple to paint. Very easy to not achieve the vibe. I'm just testing out this microphone too, by the way. I have no clue if it's better audio or not, so forgive me if it's not. Next up, we're going to bury some lavender deep into the coats of this paddlefish, all along the side, and not too much at the same time. All right, we're keeping the brush like over a foot back from the bait. There is some bright blue in there. I wanted to keep more lavender than the blue though. I'm gonna leave it at that. Gray is pretty much gonna cover up that blue. I just felt like it needed to be there. It needs to be there. Detail smoke black. Lots of gray, lots of balancing clear, and some special stuff. I don't do this often, but it's gonna look good on this bait. Once in a while, you can catch a very slight vibe of green in the spoonbills. Paddlefish, excuse me. I've always called them spoonbills. Woo, that's gonna be quite the vibe. That might be more than a slight. That color was dark enough, it's gonna cover up a lot of what I just put in it. That's good. It'll just be a hint of sparkle occasionally. You can see it on the steak. Okay, does it shoot good? Oh yeah, you can see sparkles too. All right, this is going back over the top and down the sides a smidget. Still a ton of lavender, ideal. That's what we want. So flesh tone and light tan. Really, I should mix those in a cup with pearl white. One sec. Maybe just straight white was the answer, actually. That's gonna make the pearl mean nothing that I just put in there. But yeah, that was the answer. So I'm gonna use this where the lavender transitions into the white on the belly. This is gonna make the lavender less. And then pearl white over everything. Should look good. And then I gotta get to work with a hand brush into the gills. Make it detailed. I made a ton of this, wow. Crazy what going back over stuff with white does. It does a lot. All right, this is where all that color pretty much goes away. but hopefully not too much. Pearl white over the whole thing. Very evenly. All right, the color's still there. Just super subtly like a real one. It's gonna need some detail smoke black over the top. Man, the clear coat's gonna make that look a lot better. Trust the process. You're probably like, what did you just do? You just painted white over everything you just painted. No, trust the process. I hope so. Shiny gill flap. You can see that color a little bit better now through that pearl white. Loaded up the brush. That's detail smoke black. We're gonna do that stuff. It looks too strong right now. I know, it's all good though. That's pretty good. It goes away with the glare, comes back at different angles. That is a striking paddlefish head. Sleep. Okay, I got all those fins clipped up. We're gonna start with silver. Still have a ton of this tan color left. Going in the brush. We're gonna keep that forward and towards the tips, ends of each fin. Very hard to tell, but yeah, don't forget the tail fin. Very skin-like. So now for the fins on the bottom of the fish, I'm gonna hit the bottom of them, start where they meet the body, and then finish at the end with white, like making it as thin as possible. Just dirtying them up a little bit to give the indication of spines. That's the last thing I'm gonna do to them. So that's what all the paint on the fins look like. That ain't bad. I like that I went with the brush stroke spines because they don't have well-defined spines whatsoever. Maybe they don't even have spines. Whatever, they look good. I'm gonna glue those in. We're just about done painting. The rostrum, it's covered in a bunch of black dots. The real dots are kind of hollow. They're a bunch of black circles actually, but this is too small for me to effectively do that. So we're just gonna do this. Totally unnecessary detail, but that's kind of the theme of this bait. I think we're ready for clear coat. Actually, I need to glue the eye on. Wow. Noticed that through the viewfinder. Let's glue that on quick. I didn't hit record, but dude, those eyes are tiny. Those are the smallest ones that I have, and that was super difficult to apply to this bait. But here, definitely calls for tweezers. I forgot to put a little bit of white down there. Dude, every video, I don't show this stuff, but I make a ridiculous amount of touch-ups like this. If I showed every time I did this, nothing would make sense in the video. But yeah, see, it just looks so much better. Not. Okay, clear coat. I've made the very difficult decision that a little bit of red highlight is what will look best on this. Hopefully it works its way into the cracks and crevices and makes it look a little bit more fleshy. I've been doing this thing where I stir it very, very much. Then I let it sit for a minute. Let it sit for a minute. Sorry, this Invisalign, I'm talking different. Then I hit it with a heat gun. And that takes a lot of bubbles out of it really quick. When it's really cold out, it's a bit thicker. And when you're stirring it, you can whip bubbles into it easier, it being thicker, but that does the trick. This thing needed clear coat. It looks incredible now. Wow. What a strange lure. All hardware has been installed. The same stuff you saw at the beginning while we were weighing this thing. Everything was a friction fit, but added glue to it. Now it's permanent. And boom. Nice and loosey-goosey. Very functionally sized. That tail back there just hangs down. It doesn't get caught in any sort of way, but it just goes everywhere. Hopefully that's okay. Zowire owner treble hooks are on it and they're sharp. There's actually a ton of flash coming off of this. Silvers and pearl whites. It's gonna be flashy down there if it has a good action. See if that paddle cuts into the water at all and gives it one, hopefully. Let's go see. I have 2 other crankbaits to try the action out on too. I made these while I was doing the spoonbill. PaddleFish, sorry. Oh, and at the end of this video, you will see Chelsea tie this feather treble on this beautiful brown trout. Bonus feather treble tying. I do not think we've ever done that before, but bonus feather treble tying. It's not looking good for testing baits outside. Water's really low too. Yeah, that's pretty frozen, so we might have to do a bathtub testing this video. Sorry. Darn. Depressing winter bathtub footage. Oh, that thing's nice. Dude, this would have worked so good. Yeah, and it's gonna be so hard to show in this bathtub how good this would have worked. It's like a glider. Man. Is that visible? It's just a crazy direction turner. It does not want to go straight. It is extremely erratic. It has like a cross, like a hybrid between a gliding action and a swimming action. It really wants to glide. So the swimming action that it does have is a really long one. So it's super hard to show in a bathtub. Yeah. I guess whenever it's warm enough, I'll have to show you guys outside again. Got the other baits wrapped up in a fall of 74 bait wrap. That's better. I think we can test down there. That doesn't look too bad. Here we go. Oh my goodness, it's so much better with the rod and reel compared to the bathtub. That's one of the most interesting
performing actions I've ever gotten out of a swim bait, actually. This is Action Mega City for a swim bait. The rostrum catches water. Wow. That makes me want to put long, skinny lips off of all of my 3-piece swim baits. It doesn't blow out. I think it's because the rostrum's so skinny. When you rip it, it kind of tightens up and wobbles like a lipped swim bait. When you do it slow, it's able to really slow down and loosen up. I hope the footage I'm getting is showing this. There's a lot of current right here still. When it gets a break, it can really shoot off to the side and glide too. It can't really get a break in this current. I have more to test. Let's start with the fleshy perch. I'm kind of guaranteeing that this is Action City. Yep. That is Action City. Even in the current, it doesn't care. It's gonna flicker like a minnow. Woo! Against the current, it's bouncing that rod tip. Wow, it's stable. Wow. Right onto the ice. That is a very tantalizing action for a bait that size. Let's see how the brown trout performs with a beautiful feather treble. Wow. Holy smokes. Whoa. That's even better. Action freaking City. That square bill, I was not concerned, but wondering how it's going to affect the action really. There's so much wood here, and I put so much weight in the belly that I knew no matter what, it was going to be stable, a super stable floater. But dude, this thing just puts off the vibe as it's cruising along like no other. Dude, this is an absolute gem of a bait. Wow. I want to catch a pike on it myself. But I have to sell these things, make it worth my time making them, you know? Is it stable? Oh yeah. Yeah, I just went over a piece of ice floating down there. It didn't blow out. Dude, I love that body shape too for a trout. Just this fat nugget. Wow. Okay. Extremely successful action testing has taken place today. That was a pretty good winter bait making success, I'd say. I'm pretty excited to show you guys what I'm making next. Very excited. Stick around if you want to see that feather treble being tied from the brown trout. Chelsea and I made a video of that. But yeah, on to the next bait. All right.
Like, I didn't really want to see myself.
I'm going to scoot you over a little further.
Okay, I did it.
This is the hook we'll be working with today. It's a 1/0 Gamakatsu.
I thought it was Yamagatsu.
Gamakatsu. Got the M50 out. We're loaded up, ready to tie.
Yeah, don't cut off my bun.
That is the brown trout paint scheme that we are going to attempt, well, Chelsea is going to attempt to color match and match a feather treble hook for. Are you ready?
Yes.
Let's begin.
Oh, I'm hooking myself.
Careful. Sharp hooks.
I don't really have any vision right now, so
What color are you looking for?
just any that look good with this.
You're just letting something inspire you.
I do, yes, I am. That's a little inspiring.
Flash a boo.
I basically just look in every single container.
This is a container full of super random stuff too. It has a little bit of everything. Thanks, Nick. Oh.
I'm getting inspired a little bit. I like those.
Those are some nice reds. Don't know what the official name for those are.
Sometimes I think I like, you know, start getting too much in my vision.
That's some saddle. Over-inspired.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's too much brown. There's actually not a lot of brown in a brown trout.
Okay.
I'm getting pushed out of frame. Chelsea's taking over.
I like to have like 4 different things, usually.
That's a lot of green. Peacock feathers.
I can tell you don't like it. Yeah.
Is that bucktail?
I think I need a pop of white. I think that's what I'm needing.
Pop of white.
This is like the real stuff that it stinks and I don't.
Oh, it came straight off of an animal?
I don't really like skin.
Tanned leather.
Yeah. Do you smell that?
Yeah.
The skin? It smells like Chip's breath. Nice.
Very naturey smell. Do you want me to go pick you some better stuff?
Yeah, that smells so bad.
I'm gonna go pick you some better stuff. Look at those. What are those called? Half cape.
Man, that's gonna look so good. That's way better than what I was gonna do.
Yeah.
We don't need white. I think this is good now. Okay. So I'm gonna do long, red, and gray. Like much more gray than red.
Yeah.
Then some yellow, mid,
Matches that sienna.
and this green short.
Yeah, and that green with that gray is gonna make like that transition,
Yeah,
I guess. Is that green appropriate?
it is.
Okay. I hope so. I don't see any
I
green.
think it
in
is.
that
Look at green up on top.
Is there? Oh yeah, I put the yellow in with the gold and it's throwing off kind of greenish vibes. So that'll bring it out even more. I didn't put any green on that bait.
And they're so little, it'll be subtle. Like they have barely
Yeah, that's true.
anything on them.
It'll be appropriate with what that is. I choose good colors.
You're better than I do. Who says I'm good at this?
It's just been a while.
Okay.
So first you put string down.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
First things first. String. I am not a professional, by the way. So.
You are a one YouTube video professional.
I think I'm just gonna snip off a big old chunk.
There's a big old chunk.
Do you like?
Hey Chip.
Okay.
No, you stay over there. We got a heater going back here. Just keeping warm. Okay. See ya, Chip. What'd I miss?
I'm just bundling them and seeing how long they're gonna be. Is that too long?
I'm catching the vibe.
Is this too long?
I don't know. I don't do this. That looks fine.
It's probably too long. That's pretty long.
Can't you cut them when they're done?
No, because you want these little tips.
Oh, you want the tips to be fine.
So cut down here
Yeah.
because you want the nice tip.
Understood. See, you are the professional. First feathers are on. Each and every feather makes a difference. What's that little piece of crud on that gray feather?
Oh, it's just its natural markings.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like
We'll get that garbage out of here.
Oh, okay.
How's that?
I mean, they do have spots. Maybe it was good. That looks good, though.
Yeah, I like put them how I want, and then once I get them on, they're never like how I wanted. So,
Yeah. Not how it's gonna be.
yeah.
That blends well.
I
Like you
it.
can see the red through the gray. Beautiful. Some good old standard feathers. Those are spotty. Is that mold?
Mold?
I didn't buy them like that.
I don't
Are they
know.
molding up in that bag? Need a respirator.
I think I'm just gonna use like one. I'm gonna snip it off where it gets like thick, where I don't really want to use. And then just use this, and I make little tiny cuts. And then I can use that and put that on there.
Oh. Nice.
That's not too much. Is that too much yellow? Should I take like one out? Here.
That's a pretty yellow bait. I'd say 40 I'd say 35% of that bait's yellow.
I don't know if we're going for like.
It's going to be covered in that, all three sides.
Yeah, if we're going for, what did you say?
Dainty and...
Dainty, that's the dainty vibe. Let's do that one.
Alright.
Okay, now I'm just gonna finish this whole side.
Alright. Oh yeah. I like the breakup. That's a different kind of feather. You don't usually use those.
Mm-hmm. Should I keep them this long, I think, or shorten them up just a tad?
I'd say keep them long, because the majority of the bait's that color actually.
Dude, this looks good. This is probably the best one I've ever made.
You gonna put this on your Instagram?
Maybe I will. This is where it gets bulky.
Because of the stem.
Yeah, that looks good.
Look at that. Alright, let's see what all three sides looks like of that.
Okay, now I'm doing the finishing string, where you just cover everything nicely. Beautiful. That looks good.
Nice.
Yeah, this string is very slippy. I don't know. Maybe we need different kind of string.
Is this waxed?
I don't know. There we go. That was really good. That was a good one.
Sweet.
There it is.
There it is.
Now we gotta put glue on it. This glue?
Yeah. You probably want to let it stay a liquid and keep soaking in as long as possible.
Yeah.
Right, Chip? Right.
How long does it take?
Oh, you know, a minute. It's crazy. Brown trouts don't have white spots. I just randomly decided to do that. It does look good.
Accentuates the white.
Yeah. So abstract, but so natural.
I think this is its best side.
Me too. Good work, honey.
Oh.
It looks like something that wouldn't match anything.
Mm.
But when you put it on this bait, like,
Yeah.
it really matches it. Here, let's put it on the bait. I'm such a pro at putting hooks on split rings without pliers.
Really?
Just using my fingers, yeah.
Maybe you could lay it down on the table or something.
I'll get multiple shots, don't worry. So fuzzy. I can see all of the tiny little strands really good in the viewfinder of this nice camera.
Leave it there. I want